Going on, Falcon fan? This your boy Ricondo come back at you with another video. Today we're going to talk about the recap of the final preseason game between the Atlanta Falcons and the Jacksonville Jaguars, and what we seen, what we liked, and kind of opinions of who kind of made some money for themselves, who got a chance to maybe make this roster. So for that, guys, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit notification bell so you know when I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys like hear I talk about. Then please share my video out there, YouTube universe, so more people come in here. We talk about these Atlanta Falcons. What's going on, Bubba Gump? So real quick, for me, I was at the game yesterday. I was excited, and I know it was the backups against the backups, but honestly, to me, I love the way our team played. Of course, it didn't start off right? First play of the game, interception. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna start off with the defense first because that's what I like to see. I mean, I'm trying to change. For so many years, we was an offensive team. You guys know that. So for me, I want to start off and talk about the defense in general. Talk about how the defense looked. Um, and like I said, it's preseason, and it was the backups, sent the backups. However, it was some guys that played that definitely is going to make this roster. That's going to have to contribute this year to this team. So we're gonna talk about some of those guys. But from a defensive standpoint, the D line played great. It really did. The D line played great. I mean, guys like Derek Tangelo had two tackles for a loss, sack. Abdul Anderson, it seemed like he stayed in the backfield the whole game. Every time um, he went out, he came back in. He made a play. The Jaguars could not run the ball on this defensive line. I mean, think about it. That first interception that was thrown, like I said, the first play of the game, they got the ball in plus territory on the Atlanta Falcons side of the ball, and they couldn't move the ball. We hold them to a field goal. That's complementary football, guys. That's what we want to see from this team. And like I said, it was the backups against the backups, but at the same time, that mindset, what we seen from that defensive line and that defense, the way it came out, was just outstanding to me. And I really liked what I seen from the defensive line. What's going on, D Sloan? You said what's going on? Yeah, had some flaws. Did improve the preseason. Need to clean up and turn over the penalties. So it's going. Yes, yeah. I mean the penalties. I think the penalties. Most of the penalties came on the offensive side of the ball. Right. When you think about it, the offense was really one of the things that had most of the penalties. Defense had some penalties too. I agree, especially in the defensive backfield. But for the most part, it was a lot of pre-snap penalties for these guys, um, false starts and things like that from the backups. But yes, they can be cleaned up. I know most coaches do not like um, penalties coming up from especially those pre-snap penalties because those things you can control. The physicality penalty, holding, and things like that. I can't stand defensive pass interference, especially when the cornerback don't even turn his head. Seem like he just running down the field. Like when the receiver looking for the ball, you look for the ball too, and you probably can prevent some of those pass interference on the defensive side of the ball. But like I said, that D line was good. Timothy Horn, Abdul Anderson, Derek Tangelo, Nick Thurman, all those guys played excellent in the defensive side of the ball. And then guys that, like I said, we're gonna have to contribute for us. Guys like D'Angelo Malone, um, Arnold Ebiketie, those guys played well as well. Arnold Ebiketie had two tackle for losses itself. You can see think he learned from just playing in the preseason. He had that long extension with his arms. He was able to keep contained outside a lot of plays. If you look, he didn't actually make the tackle, but he was forced to run it back inside where the D line and the linebackers were. So him just doing that really is some of the things that stood out for me from Ebiketie. D'Angelo Malone going out and when Dean Please called a play and he had to come out in coverage, made a pass defense on a play. to a receiver. So things like that, you seeing these young guys, playing their role, doing their part. That's all we ask them to do. We don't want them to go out and do anything spectacular and things like that. They just go out, do their part, as young guys, and they're gonna be able to get on the field. That's what we want to see. So D'Angelo Malone, Everett Katie, those guys. One good thing that we saw, guys that haven't that's haven't got a lot of play, with the starters, a guy like Dion Jones, who it was motivating to see Dion Jones out there. I know it's hard for a guy that was a Pro Bowler to come out there and get out there with like I said, with the backups. But it was good for him to get back on the field and get a feel of the thing. And then Isaiah Oliver as well. You saw he had a knee brace off. He interviewed after the game. He said he feel good. Knee brace is gone. Get back out there. Both of those guys, in my opinion, gonna be able to contribute this year on the defensive side of the ball. But where they're at right now, you know, back to play, it might be a little bit longer for those. We might not see them that much in week one, but towards the season, we're going to see those guys. Dion Jones and really, because he only came back this last week, so he got to get back into it, make sure he's doing what the things he need to do. Once again, I like him in the wheel position. I know a lot of people think he played better than Mike. He did. I mean, but for Dean P's scheme, his defense, the way it's set up, Dion Jones is better at that wheel because he can move side to side. He's able to play in that coverage, and he can come off the and do blitz more as well, because from the outside, because of his speed and things like that. So that's what we're gonna see from Dion Jones. Man, Troy Anderson probably had his best game. He only played two, but he definitely had his best game. Um, in this game, he has to make that sack, but at the same time, Dean Pease was dialing up the blitz, the pressure. And if that's any indication what we're going to see this season from this defense, the way Dean Pease did not hold back just because there was the backups in there, he actually went in and actually went all. I mean, it seemed like he was calling all his blitzes and things like that. One thing is, we know he didn't show everything. It's preseason. You don't want to show your hand everything, but just the fact that he trusted his backups to with all those pressures and things like that. He said, the band-aids off. He's going to lay out and show everything with all his guys. That's what we want to see. So, I mean, the way Troy Anderson was playing yesterday, this guy, I mean, that front line speed, and that's what I think that what Dean Pease like about this linebacker group in general. They all go downhill, especially at the Mike position. Guys like Kwiatkowski, Rashawn Evans, and Landman. Those guys go downhill, and then you have the wheels. Those guys be able to move sideline to sideline, playing playing space, right? That's the kind of guys like a Dion Jones, a Michael Walker, or Troy Anderson. Like I said, those guys will be coming at on blitz from that weak side, wreaking havoc. A lot of times when we seen those pressures, he was only bringing four at a time, right? He was only bringing four at a time, but bringing those four at a time, at this, they were still getting pressure, right? So that disguise, I can't wait to see how he confused these quarterbacks. A guy like Week One, Jameis Winston, he don't know where that pressure is coming from, right? So see what we got here. Ask me who I'm choosing, Allison or Huntley. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know, man. I'm just gonna leave it up to the team because both of those guys played real good yesterday. I mean, if we talking about somebody that left it out on the field yesterday, I think Quadri Allison, Caleb Huntley, especially Caleb Huntley, man. This guy, he balled out, and he made it actually hard. I think he made it harder yesterday after his performance yesterday for a guy like Allison. I mean, Allison been playing great the whole offseason. He been playing good in all the preseason games. And the fairness to Allison, he had a bad rap when he was with Quinn because he could never get on the field. The word was he couldn't pass protect, But the way he runs the ball, um, I think he should be on this team. I mean, I actually think Kayla Huntley should be on this team, but we all understand that they're only going to keep four guys, right? Um, and if you didn't notice yesterday, Avery Williams didn't even play. So that tells me that Avery Williams' spot is safe due to his return ability in special teams. So um, he didn't return the ball at all on special teams. He didn't even have his pads on. So that tells me that Avery Williams is safe, which means it comes down to um, and Damian Williams didn't play either. So Cordell, so that tells me that um, I don't know if either one of those guys going to make the team, which is really, unfortunate for either one of those guys because when you think about it, a guy like I said, Allison, been putting in the work, doing his thing. I don't know if he's going to make it, man, because they can only keep four. We know what we seen from Tyler Algier. I haven't got to the offense yet, but man, Tyler Algier, he's as advertised. I mean, think on one play, he ran the ball 7 yard gain and they hit him. He didn't. He was just standing there. He hit him out of bounds, but he didn't even fall to the ground. This guy is, like I said, as advertised. So, see what you got here. So Dion Jones, that is a great point about, and I was one of the ones that thought we was gonna get rid of Dion, and I'm gonna tell you why. And the reason why it wasn't because of his play. I know everybody say he played bad last year. I wasn't on that bandwagon that he played bad. I What I saw was he moved from Mike linebacker to Will linebacker, and he missed some plays. I mean, but that happens, right? He still had 35 tackles, so um, he was still playing good, in my opinion. He did not have his numbers, his interceptions and things like that. He was second on the team in sack last year. People forget about that. But what I seen was Deion Jones actually playing out of position last year, and it was kind of hard because you remember that Mike, he just sitting in the car, he get the team lined up, then you put him to Will, and he had to learn that position. Right, it's more space. Right, he's not in the middle. Now he's out in more space. Got to make plays out in space. So I thought he had to learn that position. That's what I seen for Deion Jones. However, the reason why I thought that they was going to move away from Deion Jones because of his cap, how much we owed him, and if you don't see him in the future, going forward, then it would be beneficial to try to get something back in return. That's the reason why I thought they was going to get rid of Deion Jones. However, I think the injury kind of, you know, prohibit them from doing that, so they got to keep him on the roster. Now I think they need to go on the roster with Deion Jones on it because he can only help this team now. So, in my opinion, he's one of the five linebackers they're going to keep. Those middle linebackers, um, and that's how many linebackers I think they're going to keep. So a guy like Nate Landman probably won't make it. I definitely think he'll stay on the practice squad. But of course, we got Rashawn, Troy Anderson, Michael Walker, Dion Jones, and Nick Kokoski. I think those are going to be the five linebackers that's going to make the roster. So that's where I'm at with that. But yes, another reason I thought that Dion Jones would be gone because of his that cap hit, and they could have actually brought somebody else in to help. If they would have able to trade Deion Jones, because they would have saved dead cap for next year as well, things like that. Now, if they would decide to cut Deion Jones, they only save $1 million. So I think it's a waste to actually cut him now. If you can trade him and get something back, yes, but I still think that Deion Jones can help this team. Um, I don't know how he's gonna you know, make his way into playing time. Like I said, if Michael Walker need a break, you could definitely bring a guy like Deion Jones in. Um, but the way Troy Anderson, and the thing about Troy Anderson, what I like about him, that he's really still don't know the game yet, right? We know that he didn't play a lot in linebacker at Montana State. He was playing all those other positions, but I mean that guy once he slows down for him just a little bit, I think he's going to be um, a problem. Oh, Mariota, man. Hey, me too. You know what I was telling one of my buddies about this about Marcus Mariota is the fact that when you go back and look and especially in today's games, because a lot of times what coaches do, they take a quarterback the way he played in college and like we got to teach him our way. We play our scheme and things like that. Now in today's NFL, it's kind of the opposite, right? They take the guys what they did well in college, they kind of implement that to their offense, and these guys hit the ground running right away. Just like a Joe Burrow, right? They took a lot of things he did at LSU, brought it into Cincinnati, and this guy looked like he haven't missed a beat. Right, came right from national championship, came out and started playing fantastic football. So for me, if you go back and look, I know Marcus Mariota been in the league, 7 years, but if you go back and look what Marcus Mariota did in Oregon and the way he ran um, that that read option and had the guy in the pistol, like sort of like what we're seeing for Arthur Smith now, and let him do the things he do well, I think it's going to benefit Marcus Mariota a whole lot. I mean, take some of the principles that you got um, in this offensive scheme, but utilize Marcus Mariota's, his attributes, his skill sets, how he can utilize that read option and play off that with his athleticism. And I think, in my opinion, I think that's what we're going to see from Arthur Smith and Marcus Mariota this year. Um, what they did in Tennessee, kind of get away with that. Even Marcus Mariota said the offense is different, but I think Arthur Smith had learned you need to utilize your players, and the best way to utilize them. I mean, look what they did to Cordell Patterson last year. They utilized him how he had never been used before, but they used him in his skill set. So I'm with you, Word Wild. I can't wait to see Marcus Mariota play, and I think that it was so vanilla in the preseason, and they played what Marcus Mariota played well in the preseason, but I think it was so vanilla that um, we're gonna see so much more when this season start. And I think honestly, they showed more with Desmond Ritter, than they actually showed with that starting lineup. So that's just the way I looked at it. Um, hopefully, I'm not wrong on that, but that's the way I look at it. So this question here, um, and I was at the game yesterday, and this why if you and you also you listen to what Arthur Smith said yesterday, um, the way this roster is going to look, and I mean the way this roster is going to look, not just Tuesday when they have to do the 53-man cut down. I'm talking about the start of the week one. The way this roster is going to look is going to be different, and the reason I say that because you got to remember all other 31 teams cut players as well. And some cut pretty good players. They were just deep in those positions. And and as we know, Terry Fontenot is an old former pro scout, and his team's been looking through all those different rosters, trying to find guys that we might have had a chance with, but they was picked up or they was drafted or they signed a undrafted contract with another team and they didn't make it, and they could be better than some of the guys who got on our team. So just imagine that we was impressed by all these guys because, in my opinion, every guy that played yesterday, they played well in some aspect. Some aspect. Even guy like Corey Valentine, who had a pass interference deflect. Um, he got burnt on a couple of plays, but he came back. He had a big play on a screen pass where he broke it up, and then he got an interception. So even a guy like him, who definitely don't think gonna make the team, but I think everybody on the team yesterday played well, man. They showed that they actually want to make this team. But just imagine if it's somebody else out there on the other teams that's better than those guys that we can actually bring in to make our roster better. So and actually it's some free agents out there too that we can add. So um I don't know nobody right off bat I know somebody throwing out some defense alignment from other teams that might get cut, that we can kind of come in and boost up our defensive line. What I seen yesterday, I know it was like I said, backups against backups, but our defensive line looked stout. I really like what Derek Tangelo looked like. I really like what Adore Anderson looked like, and I thought Adore Anderson when they signed him later on, I don't know in camp, he was just a camp body, but he might have played his way into a role. We just have to see what he decided to do. Right. I mean, I only thing I can think about Sue is two things: is the culture. They don't know if he'll fit the culture, or it's the money, right? Because that would be the only reason why you wouldn't bring him in. I mean, he's definitely 100% better than any other guy that's out there on the cutting block for any team. Anybody that's on our squad right now, in our depth. So I agree with you. Dom Kasu still out there, so it could be two things. Like I said, it's the money, how much money he want, and then they don't know if he'll fit in the culture. Of course, we're trying to build a certain culture around here. I don't see why they wouldn't even and maybe they have, maybe they already reached out to his free agent, I mean his agent to see would he have opportunity, would he want to come back? And maybe he thinking that the Falcons not gonna be good and he want to play for a contender. I don't know. But Dom Kasu definitely be one of my choices to bring in. I mean, if you can sell him that you get to hit Tom Brady 2 times a year. So, yep, you read my mind. Exactly. If he could say, "Hey, you get to see Tom Brady 2 times a year." Tampa Bay didn't want you anymore, so how about going to get some payback, right? That would be my selling. That's how I would try to pitch. I would sell the Sue. And man, and I think we got like $13 million. So I mean, we could offer him 8 million, like $8 million, 1 year contract. That's a pretty good deal. So um, I would love to see Dominic Sue beside Grady Jarrett, man. That would be awesome. that Grady Jarrett, Dominic Sue, and um Taquan Graham. Oh man, that'd be awesome. That'd be really be awesome. Question here: what do you think is our best position on offense in offensive room? The running backs, hands down. I think it's the running backs. Um, because we just got so many running backs, and like I said, um, if they whatever decision they decide to make with the running backs, I'm cool with it. Um, Huntley, I didn't know Huntley was a hometown kid. Um, I didn't know he was from Atlanta, so that would be a big story for him. Quadri Allison deserves to make the team 100%. Like I said, there's no question that Damon Williams and Cordell Patterson gonna make the team. They're veteran guys. Like I said, if you looked at yesterday, and let's just talk about some of the guys that did not play yesterday, they kind of either the coaching staff felt like they seen enough or they was safe. Guy like Kobe Gozick, right? Um, the guard, he didn't even play yesterday, so um, that kind of makes it kind of interesting. A guy like Justin Schaefer, right? Because he's a drafted guy in the 6th round out of Georgia, but Kobe Gossett didn't play. Jalen Mayfield didn't play. And I know everybody think about Jalen Mayfield, but he didn't play yesterday. So are those guys safe, right? So that's like I said, we got to kind of look at those guys. A guy like Avery Williams didn't play. Um, like I said, Damon Williams didn't play. Oken Deji didn't play. These guys are safe. D. Alfred played like 2 or 3 snaps yesterday. He didn't play a whole lot. Um, so I think D. Alfred made his case in these first 2 preseason game and in practice, right? So I think he's safe. Yesterday, Arthur Smith, went on the side as precaution and didn't play a lot of guys. Um, so that could tell you a lot about how they the direction they're going into um, this 53-man roster projection. And I don't know if Marlon Davidson's safe. So that's one of the questions we gotta ask ourselves: is Marlon Davidson actually a safe right now? So I mean, the way Derek Tangelo played, Timmy Horn, Abdul Anderson, I mean, guys that's going to be ready to go week one. I don't know the status of Marlon Davidson. They said he was going to be ready by week one. Maybe they put him on the IR and they could, keep him on the roster that way. And then because you guys, if you could put a guy on the IR, put him on IR, he have to wait 4 games to come back. And then in the fourth game, they could make roster decisions after that. But it could be something like that where Marlon Davidson, um, biggest thing for him, it's all potential, right? Because it's not like he contributed a whole lot so far since he's been on the Falcons. And the biggest play he had, a pick six against Tom Brady. I guess that's something good to put on your resume. But other than that, I don't see why Marlon Davidson would feel safe, um, you know, trying to make this roster because I haven't seen a whole lot that he done. Um, So, like I said, that was the defense. We talked about the offense a little bit. Desmond Ritter started out slow, and but he got into it later on in the game. Um, what I like about Desmond Ritter more than anything, just his poise, right? Like he don't panic a whole lot. He just calm, steady, go to the next play, go to the next play. Arthur Smith he coming off the sideline, Arthur Smith yelling at him, things like that. All the things you want to see from a quarterback because we all know, when you in it in this high pressure moments, you don't want nobody with quick feet and seeing ghosts and things like that. So I love the way Desmond Ritter um, make a play, then get back to the next play and make a play. So many times um, the offense get back behind the chains with penalties and things like that. And then it seemed like Desmond Ritter or make a big play to get him out of it. Frank Darby get a false start at like the 5 yard line, put us at the 2.5. Then the next play, Desmond Ritter throw a dime to him on the sideline, things like that. Both of those guys, Frank Darby made a mistake. Desmond Ritter not panicking, throw a rope right down the sideline to Frank Darby. Um, that's what you like to see. A guy like Frank Darby, um, I think this might be it for him. He hasn't shown a whole lot. Um, and I know I said about draft picks and things like that, but I mean, in reality, he has been outplayed by other guys. He Demir Bird has outplayed him. Um, Cameron Batson, Jared Bernhardt. I mean, they all have outplayed Frank Darby. Um, so in my opinion, I don't see only thing that can save him if they think he's on the gunner on the kickoff. Um, he's one of the best gunners on the team, and they need him to play gunner. That's the only reason why, in my opinion, they would keep Frank Darby over those other guys. So um, that's just where what I think about that. I thought the offensive line played well. Um, Tyler um, Vrabel's son played good. He was destroying guys on the right side of the ball. That's where all our runs came from. Um, our running backs was running hard, man. Like I said, Kayla Huntley probably had one of his best games I ever seen him play with the Atlanta Falcons. He played pretty good in preseason last year as well, but this year, that last game, the way he played, man, he played like he wanted to make this team. And like I said, his performance probably put some of the coaching staff and the front office like we got some hard decisions to make. Arthur Smith mentioned that in his press conference. Um, I like this team as a whole. I know you can't keep all these guys, but a lot of these guys, man, um, they had great chemistry together, and the way they played yesterday, that energy they played with. I know it was backups get backups, but man, I love the way they played with that enthusiasm, especially the way it started off. With the first play of the game. Um, interception, and then these guys come out, make them go 3 and out, and -2 yards overall on that drive. So that was impressive by the backups, and and it kind of, if we could like develop that kind of mindset, um, team football. Hey, I got your back. That's what you want to see from the Atlanta Falcons team. Hey, I like that. Talk about the running backs. Um, every like I said, every player on this team. I think Demir Berry had some splash plays. Frank Darby had that one big play. Jared Barnhart still catching balls, tough catches over the middle of the field. Cameron Batson had a outstanding catch on third down. He made plays. Him and Barnhart both was back as punt returners as well. So overall, um, offensively and defensively, I thought both of these guys played well. I mean, both sides of the ball played well, um, and it showed. And the biggest thing it showed to me was the depth, right? Um, Most of our guys sat out yesterday, and if we can say anything about this Atlanta Falcons team, is that it's deeper than it was last year. Um, some of these guys that played yesterday, like I said, it's definitely going to help contribute us not just this year, but moving forward. So we're looking at our young team and saying we have some potential on this team to actually to do something with it. And then the last thing is the special teams, right? Can't get out the special teams because, like I said, if you play um, good team football, offense, defense, and special teams, I thought Bradley Pinion punted the ball well. He changed field position more than once. When we were struggling in that first half, Bradley Pinion kept punting that ball, pinning those guys deep. Um, that's what you want to see from a special team standpoint. And then we can't forget the punt block. We probably have to go back and try to look back in time and see when the last time the Falcon actually had a block, a punt block, right? We should probably go back in time to see if when the last time that the Falcons actually did something like that on special teams. Well, last year they did block a field goal. Oakland Deji did in Miami. So, but blocking a punt, Quentin Bell, like I said, guys making a statement for themselves. Be interesting that they decide to keep five off outside linebackers. That means Quentin Bell to make the squad. If they decide to keep the four, we'll just have to see. Um, got here. We should try Odell. Yeah, I mean I mean, sure, we could try Odell. He won't be ready probably like December though. I don't know if that's be worth it. And then I would think Odell probably thinking like a lot of the guys thinking that Atlanta's not gonna be that good. He want to play for a championship. So I don't think Odell would want to play for us. But if they could get Odell, sure thing. You mentioned Cole Beasley. Um, sure, like I said, once again, another veteran guy that can come in. But I like our receiving core. Um, like I said, we really want to see what we definitely can see out of Brian Edwards and Drake London. We haven't seen them a whole lot this preseason, so it's still kind of questionable about how those guys going to look. Um, Anticipation and expectations is high for both of those guys, but we still don't know. But with them on the field, and if they do what we think they're going to do, I think we're good. We could bring in a guy, like I said, a Cardell Hodge. I think they probably made the team. And then that last guy, Bird, Barnhart, um, we'll see. I think it's going to be between one of those guys, Bird or Barnhart, that's going to actually make the squad. But Cole Beasley, yes, definitely somebody we could consider. Um, do you believe with our current team as it could go to the Super Bowl? I know it's hey, any given Sunday. That's all I can say about about any team, right? like one thing I can say about this team, and and like I said, we have to stop thinking about the you know the so-called experts out there, and what they think about the team, because the team last year is not the same team this year. I mean, just let's just be honest. I mean, we got rid of we have the most. We only had one receiver from last year that's probably going to make the squad. I don't think Frank Darby's going to make it. So Olumde's kid is our only receiver. Cordell Patterson is really our only running back that's going to be back, unless Carter Allison squeaks in. Um, our pass rush is being revamped. Um, our defensive backfield, I think, has got better. So we don't know. We don't know what to expect from this team. One thing that I do know, and I think that the like I said, so-called experts kind of overlook, is the coaching aspect of teams. Like, I mean, so like for an example, our week one opponent, the Saints, right? Everybody talking about the Saints, and they have the talent. I'm not going to even deny that, especially some of the guys they was able to bring in um, this offseason. The Honey Badger and the receiver they brought in, um, the other receiver coming back. So they have the talent, right? But Dennis Allen is a first time head coach again. And if you go back to his stint in with the Raiders, he actually had a losing record in 4 seasons, right? So it has to be said that they do have a new head coach. But the experts is overlooking the coaching aspect, because I guess it's an assumption that if you got the talent, you're going to be good, right? And that's not the case. You have to have the coaching to go with it, right? We always are, so enamored by the way Bill Belichick coaches, because a lot of the guys that he have on his team, he made guys household names, right? Um, by the way he coach, because he just want them to do their jobs. That's what you do. So I'm going to put the coaching aspect as why I think the Falcons have a chance to win games this year. Um, and talent is how you put guys in position to be successful. All these guys are pros. Um, like I said, Kyle Pitts just as good as anybody else on the Saints team. Um, Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota drafted in the same draft. Jameis Winston hasn't did anything that Marcus Mariota has done. I mean, just to be honest with you, let's be honest about, like, it's not like Jameis Winston is this superstar quarterback that's going to come out and actually, he had 5 good games last year, but before that, he was actually playing behind Drew Brees, and then before that, he was Mr. 30 for 30. That's Jameis Winston that everybody all of a sudden saying that's going to be so great this year that the Saints team have a chance to go into the Super Bowl. So with a first year head coach, um, it's making make sense. So that's the kind of things I'm talking about. You have to just play the games as they come. All right. If you go look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers first 4 games, they playing like all playoff teams. They could be 0-4 their first 4 games, right? They can play Dallas in Dallas. Um, they've got to play the Rams. They got a pretty hard schedule too. But everybody's talking about the Falcons and how we're gonna suck. But everybody got to play the same teams in NFL. That was last year records, things like that. So I never going to say we're not going to do something, because in 2016, um, I thought we was 1 year ahead of schedule, and we actually went to the Super Bowl. So you just don't know. But I can't say what I like about this team is it's going to be exciting. It's going to be brand new. It's going to be fresh. I don't think any of these guys is going to take it for granted. Most of these guys on this team on 1 year deals, they're on prove it deals, for their football lives and things like that. So that's what I think about your question, Drady, about can we make it to Super Bowl? We just have to wait to see. One game at a time. Um, Injuries could play a big role into any season, right? I mean, that's just the way it is. Um, I thought you think about it, we went to the Super Bowl in 2016, 2017. Um, we had a lot of injuries, right? Dion Jones, Keanu O'Neal, all those guys started to get hurt that next year. And we did make it back to the division around playoffs. Probably could have went back to the FC Championship game if Julio catch that ball and in the corner of the end zone. But after that, I think the so-called um brotherhood wore down after that. So after that 2017 season, I think the brotherhood was dead. It probably was time to move on from Dan Quinn. Gave him 3 more years. We could never get back on. Get back on. I think Dan Quinn didn't push the guys. He didn't hold them accountable enough. Um, and that's what we're seeing from this team. I mean, most times, and you can just go back and look. Most times, when a Pro Bowler, all Pro player is injured, and then he comes off injury, and he's put right back up, his All Pro status. Not on this team. Not on this team. Deion Jones come back, and Arthur Smith. The first thing he say is he got to compete to actually get back up to his status, right? So it's no entitlement. Everybody's gonna come out and they gotta earn their spot on this team, um, and that's why every guy on this team understand that nobody's safe. Um, that's why we see Grady Jarrett. I don't think it's just how he's built anyway, but he come out and play hard every day. One of the hardest playing working guys in the game. Still today, he owns his third contract, right? Jake Matthews, steady, not no all pro guy, anything like that, but a solid left tackle comes out, never misses a game, plays steady. That's why they gave those guys contract, right? Those are guys they want to build around, things like that. So, but long story short, to answer your question about the Super Bowl, we just have to wait to see. I'm not one of those guys to already predict we're going to be a top 5 pick, right? Because when you talk about talent, talent is what the guys put on the field. You can't go off, yes, what they did in the past. You can't go off that, but it's all about the right now and what these guys are going to do. Because if you try to live off what you did in the past, it ain't going to work. You got to come out and show it every day. That's why the draft is so important, and they bringing in guys because every year somebody's trying to take your spot. So if you come out and think what you did last year is going to help you and keep your status where you was this year, it don't work like that. So that's why I give us a chance to beat any team this year. So that's just the way it looks. We'll have to see what happens, but that's the answer to that question for me. Um, so the last thing we'll talk about, guys, is the 53 man roster projection. And honestly, I don't want to pick a 53 man roster projection because I think it's just too hard to do it. And because, like I said, in the positions that where you would think it would be easy, um, and I think we were like, for example, we talked about the running back position, right? It's so many different um, avenues they could go with the running back position. I think they're going to keep four, or you can move and they're going to keep three, and they move Avery Williams over to special teams because I don't think he's going to run the ball. I think somebody mentioned that the other day, but Avery Williams is going to be a returner, punt returner, kick returner. But then you have Damian Williams, Cordell Patterson, and Tyler Algier is going to be our 3 running backs, and we're going to keep our fullback Keith Smith. I think that's going to be our running back room. I think we're going to keep the 3 quarterbacks and Felipe Franks, Marcus Mariota, and Desmond Ritter. I do think we're going to keep 9 offensive linemen. But the question is Justin Schaefer actually going to make the squad, or he's going to make the practice squad? Because I think Kobe Gazik might be that other guy that they're going to keep. I think we're going to keep 5 receivers because the element of Carter Patterson, and I'm leaning away for Jared Barnhart, not Demir Bird. We just have to see how that pans out. Um, I think we're going to keep 5 cornerbacks. I think Tease Tabor and Mike Ford both might be on the outside looking in at this point. I think we're only going to keep 4 safeties. 5 linebackers, I already mentioned that. Inside linebackers, either 4 or 5 outside linebackers. That depends on what they do with the interior defensive linemen. If they keep 4 or 5 interior defensive linemen. So um, I don't envy these guys. I kind of feel bad for the guys on the back end of the roster because, like I said, I believe that even those guys that get selected, on Tuesday to make the back end of the roster, it's still not safe, going into week 1 because, like I said, I think if there's somebody out there that they think is better suited to help this team, they're going to bring them in and sign on to those guys. And then we just mentioned right here on this show some free agents that they definitely could consider to bring in that they think could help the squad as well. So um, it's all about. And the one big thing is for Arthur Smith. If you watch, he don't want nobody to come in think they entitled, they earn something. They got to come in and prove that they can win that spot. That's what we have seen. Um, you heard the broadcast talking about it most of the times. Things that we've noticed that he trying to strip away people thinking that they deserve um, to be the status they are. All right, if you want to get paid, you got to show it. Um, so it's only 14 guys. Let's think about this. Only 14 guys on the roster from the last regime. That's it. That's it. It's only 14 guys left. So um it's their team now. They moving forward. So the people they bring in, they want them to fit their culture. That's what it's all about. So you guys let me know what you think about the 53-man roster. Like I said, I don't envy these guys calling these guys in. It's some guys you might not want to lose. Like I think if a guy like Jared Bernhardt, somebody might pick him up and bring him in. A guy like Quadra Allison and Caleb Huntley, somebody might pick one of those guys up and bring them in, and then you might have to deal with those guys on Sunday on the other side of the ball. Um, People keep asking about Dionne Jones. What they're gonna do with Dionne Jones? What they're gonna do with Marlon Davidson? Right? Those are 2 positions we that still we have to see how that pans out. Personally, I think both of those guys are safe. We just have to see. And then last but not least, who's going to be the starting center? Right? Is it going to be Matt Hennessy or Drew Dahlman? Who's going to be our starting center? All right, guys, that's all I have today. Thank you guys for coming in. Um, the next podcast would definitely be looking at our cuts and see what these guys, who they actually bringing in on the initial, like I said, the initial 53-man roster. Like I said, I think it's fluid. They've been saying that a lot of these guys that make the roster on Tuesday definitely not safe. We have to see who else they start to bring in, and then we start talking about hate week, right? Um, Getting ready for those ain'ts, getting ready for all those guys on the other side. of our rivalry. We got to beat the Saints coming into week 1. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Hope you guys are doing the same. So let me know what you guys think. And this is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.